Hey everyone, welcome back. It has been a while since I've done the first video. I did say I'll be back in a month. It's actually been closer to about 2 months. Reason being is just life gets in the way. It's part of living in this economy in this world. Um, but I've been actually trying to figure out how long the CO2 system can run for. It's pretty much reached the end. It's been about 2 months for it running through. And I remember in the beginning of the first video, I did mention I find it skeptical that it can run up to 30 days. And I wanted to see how long it can actually make it. For it to run for 2 months is actually very impressive, especially on that one dose. I didn't do anything extra. It's just turning it on, turning it off during the appropriate times, usually an hour before the lights turn on and an hour before the lights turn off. Now, I did have some inconsistencies, which did bring in some problems. I do have staghorn algae, which can be caused by the inconsistency of the CO2 being on and off at wrong times, or certain days being on all day, certain days being off all day. Um, or it could be due to I did get a new light. The old light did finally just die off, so I had to get a new one. And this one does tend to look a little bit brighter and act a little bit brighter than the other light. So the CO2 itself, I am very, very, very impressed. And more likely, it's going to run for a little bit less than my tank on a bigger system. It'll probably run for less days. Versus on my tank, it's smaller, it's newer plants, so that probably will explain why it ran for so long. I feel like once the plants actually start to grip and start to propagate really fast and develop a lot of the brighter colors, it won't last as long. So I'll probably do another update once the tank is fuller in plants, the algae is more under control. I do plan on getting it in line solenoid for the CO2 kit just because of the factor of getting those nutrients back in balance with that CO2 to try and get the staghorn under control. I will be making a video on how to clean out this CO2 system. It'll probably be a short clip or a reel of some sort on my profile, just so y'all can see kind of the process of how to do it. I did buy everything to do it, so it shouldn't be hard for me to do. It should only take a couple seconds to a couple minutes to get it started again and full of CO2. So I'm not going through too many days of without CO2. It's on its final little burst of CO2, so time to do that. Now the staghorn, to get it under control, there's multiple things I can do. I can either dial down the lights, which I may or may not do. I kind of don't want to just because a lot of the plants are starting to finally grow at the rate they're supposed to. The cryptocorn flamingo is very bright pink. I'll probably show a closer photo of that here somewhere. I'll show a photo of the staghorn algae that I'm having a problem with too. I did get some Amano shrimp for the tank to hopefully eat that staghorn algae. I hope I don't have to add a Siamese since it is a very small system. But my local store did say if I put it in there and it eats out all the algae, I can bring it back to them. So that is a good news if I can try. I probably will rip out this pearl moss too. I'm not happy with how it's growing. It's not the way I wanted it to grow, so I'll probably go with something more like weeping moss or some form of Christmas moss or Java moss. I want something more flat and droopy instead of something getting taller for on the wood. So I will be doing all of that. Now, I probably will add some more fish. This tank is a project for sure. It's technically my first CO2 system. It's not my first freshwater tank, but it's my first nano freshwater tank. Um, I did put in some new plants on that first video too, the Granada, and that one's not doing too well. I think it's just too small for my substrate, so I am gonna go with a different version of it. It's a bigger version. Once I get it, I'll actually show me putting it in. Probably a short reel. Again, probably not a full video. Unless y'all want another full video, then I'll do another full video. But the CO2. So I had technical difficulties. I do have gestures on, so it's on my hand open, so it turned off the camera. But back to what I was saying, the CO2 system is highly impressive for how much you actually spend on it. This tank only cost me about $150 ish, maybe 200 to get it all set up. versus a brand new CO2 system, full 5 pound tank with the regulators and the lines and the diffusers, usually will run you around $300 to $400. That does average. Both of these will average depending on where you live. It's not all the same price depending on where you live. If we start calculating on how much it costs to fill a 5 pound tank versus how much it costs to get this system filled up, it actually starts adding up to it's worth doing the bio system for a smaller system, especially a 7 gallon, instead of spending $400 on a CO2 tank. So CO2 tank usually on average can last anywhere from 5 months to a year, depending on your tanks, how many plants you have in there, the usage, and all that stuff. And that usually costs around $40 to $60 depending on where you live. Versus this cost me about $12.99, $13 for a packet of four. Each 4 packets roughly takes me 2 months as of right now before refill. So if we start into calculation, including the first packet, we're looking at about 10 months. So 12, $13 for 12 or 10 months in total. That's a really, really, really good deal. And then let's say it does end up being 1 month, $12, $13 for 4 months in total. We start multiplying it for or do a year's worth, it still ends up being a roughly $3, $4 cheaper than filling up a 5 pound tank. So, in average, you are still spending a little bit less, especially for a smaller system. I've yet to run it on a bigger system. I've yet to do it on a large system. I do work with aquariums at a shop, so we don't have any of these set up at a shop. We do have regular 5 pound, 10 pounds, and 20 pound systems set up at a shop. That's why I know how much it roughly costs to get it set up. So I honestly think this is worth buying. It's worth for a beginner. It's very easy to learn. I've showed you how to set it up. The instructions are very clear on how to set it up. So I think it's worth it for people. This is not sponsored at all. So this is my honest opinion. It's worth the money. You're spending half what you would on a 5 pound tank, and it doesn't take anywhere near the amount of work a regular DIY test or a DIY CO2 system would take. Now, I do highly recommend for you to use a solenoid, an inline solenoid, or trade out the bubble counter that's on here for a solenoid with a bubble counter and put that on there just so that you have more regularities. You are prone to getting algae out of control if you don't have any regularities, like I did mention. So I highly, highly, highly recommend um, getting an inline solenoid. I will be getting one here soon just because of the fact that I'm getting algae problems, irregularities. I saw what problems can show up with those. So I'm trying to keep that under wraps and keep it under control. So I highly recommend getting that inline solenoid. But other than that, the system is amazing. It worked for what it was supposed to do. The It looks like it's actually a lot of CO2, so I gotta set that up. So probably here in the next few days, you'll probably see a short video on how to clean it out, get it refilled, and put back into place. But it should all be easy. If y'all have any questions and concerns or anything aquarium based, let me know. I can answer a lot of these questions. I've been in the hobby for years. I work with aquariums and work with a lot of planted aquariums. I will be replacing some of my plants. I talked about it during the first video, but it did cut off halfway through. But that Granada didn't work out too well. It's just was way too small for this substrate. I'm gonna have to go with a bigger species of it. I didn't want to do that originally, so I might actually have to switch things around. But I think the parva is actually still slightly bigger than that. I think it's called a hirsuta, bigger than the hirsuta. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see how the plants are growing. We'll see what differences happens as the plant starts growing and filling up this tank. See how quickly it starts pulling out that CO2. See how quickly I need to start adding that CO2 back in. If I start noticing a difference on usage of CO2, I will actually make a video again on that. Do another review on how quickly the CO2 is getting replaced. I am getting a lot of algae growth, so I might dial down the lights, but I really prefer not to since the plants are doing so well right now. Um, it still looks very thin. That's because it is a very small tank. I mean, the tank's only been set up for about 2, 3 months, so it hasn't been set up for long. I hope here in the next few months the plants will start growing rapidly and will start looking better. But Thank y'all for watching. If y'all have any questions, like I said, just let me know. I'll answer as many as I can. I'll make a short video answering them if I get a lot of questions, or I'll just comment on your post below or whatever you post. But thank y'all so much for watching, and have a nice day. Thank you.